All right, it barely fits into the frame as you can tell, but today I have the Master Builder Series Mos Eisley Cantina. I'm so excited for this. I wanted it as soon as it came out, but I tend to not get these sets for a while because they are so expensive. I kind of gotta save, right? Wait for a better time. No idea where I'm gonna put it in my collection yet because it is so big, but I am really excited. I enjoyed the build for the most part. We'll get into it further within this review, but I did want to go ahead and give you the specs on this. So this is an official Master Builder Series set, Mos Eisley Cantina. It is for ages 18 plus, which, I mean, it doesn't really have to be honest. It is set 75290 with 3,187 pieces. It retails for, I believe, $340. So I paid about $380 after taxes. So it is an expensive set. It is the same price as the Betrayal on Cloud City, which I also have. The Betrayal on Cloud City actually has fewer pieces and fewer exclusive minifigures. This set comes with 21 minifigures, and they say 9 new minifigures to these, this set specifically. So some of them we've seen before. Also, I did want to mention that the manual is massive, super big. It is a thick novel. One cool thing about these Master Builder series is they give a lot of background. Like, there's lots of like little extra reading in these, which is really cool. And then little fun facts that you didn't know as you go through. So anyways, I think that it's like 300 and something pages. Yeah, 390 something pages long. Sorry, I got scooted over there, but this is basically the set. This is the way that you can have it all connected and closed up. There's lots of different ways to display this set, but before we go on to that, let me show you guys the minifigures. It's going to be fun. So just going to go kind of in order for, I don't know what makes sense in my head versus going from, you know, the least interesting minifigures to maybe the more interesting or most interesting minifigures. So starting off with this group before, we have a Luke Skywalker, which of course is pretty expected in a set like this. He's pretty standard. We've seen him about 100 million times in other Tatooine-esque sets, especially within the year 2020, which is when this came out. So nothing new with Luke, but if you don't have him, he's a great one to get. We have this Obi-Wan, and he has this cool hood piece, but we see it actually in another set already. I personally was disappointed with this Obi-Wan because the 2014 Mos Eisley Cantina, in my opinion, came out with a way more detailed Obi-Wan with his cloak and everything, and I think that this one personally looks way, way better than this one here. So I think that the neck area is a little bit more accurate on this one here, but they could have extended the cape and made it more detailed. There's no printing on the pants at all, so I found that disappointing personally. And then we have R2-D2 and C-3PO, and they are the exact same as you always get. We've had these same figures for quite a while now, and there's nothing new about them. All right, then we also have Han Solo, which again we've seen in many different forms at this point. Nothing super special here, but I do like him because if you only had the 2014 Cantina set with this Han Solo, which I did, they've updated the hairpiece, which is no longer an update, but they had his little smooth comb over before that, so it's a good one to add. Then we have Chewbacca, and he's the exact same. I've always thought this Chewbacca is a cool minifigure, but he comes out in a lot of sets and there's no variation, so you probably have him already, so. But he is essential to have in this set, I must say. And then we have Greedo, and he actually is slightly different from his older version. I definitely wish they could have added more special printed, like maybe dual molded legs or printed arms, because this is a Master Builder Series set. And so you think that they would pay some special attention to making some minifigures more unique, but I guess they poured their concentration into creating totally new characters. So I guess that can be forgiven, but it is a little bit different from the 2014 version. On the left is the 2014 version. You can tell the new one has shinier eyes. There's a little bit of difference in the jacket. There's a belt on the new one. No printing on that groin piece though, unfortunately, but he does have a strap on the lower leg. So there are some differences, nothing super major though. So there is that. And then lastly, we have a Jawa, and that's fine. Again, one of those that you kind of need in a set like this. He is not a new printed Jawa, but there are like 2 or 3 variants of this guy, so he's not a bad one to get, especially since you kind of could army build Jawa technically, because they all look relatively similar. So we do have those guys there. And then we have 2 nice Stormtroopers, which are pretty much the same thing, minus the little pauldron on the side. One's black, one's orange. But they look nice. They're done in the dual molded helmets, which are not my favorite, but they're done in that like dusty, sandy, kind of dirty color. And then they have nice little modular looking backpacks. I do actually like the build for that, though these dudes are loaded up. It's kind of funny, but they actually do have separate heads, which is nice. So we always tend to get some sort of rookie looking guy and some more vetted looking guy, which makes sense because this guy is going to be higher ranking. And then we have the bartender, and I can never pronounce his name, like Wooer. I'm not sure, but actually, unless you picked up like the 2018 version of the Cantina, you don't have this guy, which is pretty cool. I don't have him personally, and I think he looks nice. Not too bad. He comes with a little gun. Sorry that we're jumping out of focus here. And then he has a double-sided angry face, like, oh, no blasters, no blasters. So pretty nice. A duplicate if you have the older Cantina set, but if you didn't get that last version of it, he's going to be a new character for you. All right, then we have the Cantina band. We have these Bith musicians, and we have seen them before in the 2014 version, so they are technically not exclusive. This is a 2014 version, and I just wanted to check out their pants. Yep, they're the exact same, unfortunately, though they are holding a little bit of different instruments. All of these are handheld instruments, and they are identical minifigures. They're still pretty cool, but if you have the 2014 version, you now end up with six Bith musicians, which is kind of funny. Doesn't matter if you get them confused because they're the exact same. So pretty cool nonetheless. They just have some really plain, honestly, black tunics and gray pants. Heads are the exact same. A very cool mold, but identical, minus the little instruments that they carry. So there are those guys. All right, then we're getting into some exclusive characters to this set. It was so cool to see them make exclusive Mos Eisley Cantina patrons. I really, really like it. So we have Dr. Evazan, whatever. You know, the guy who starts all the crap in the cantina and ends up getting his friend's arm cut off. It's cool that we finally have him. He's not a crazy, intricate character. I think that he looks pretty good. He's got a messed up little eye, and this is his surprised face. He does have a angry face as well. Wrinkles on the back of his shirt, looks pretty good. He's got a very just like withery outfit there. He's kind of plain, and I feel like they could have put him in another set previously, but they haven't, so that's fine. Then we have Panda Baba, which is really well known for getting his arm cut off. He's also known as Walrus Man. He looks a little bit short due to the way they did his head. He kind of doesn't have a neck, and since those like tusk and beard thing hang over the front of him, it makes him just look like he has a kind of a small top part. And then you can see the rest of his outfit removing that. They did print some gray flesh on top of that, which is a good attention to detail. Plain pants, lots of plain pants in this set. And then there's the back, so he's pretty cool as well. And then we have this guy. He is called Herchek Kalfas. He's basically a mega pale or albino Bosk. So he's a Transdoshian, I think that's how it's pronounced. And we see him pretty well for several different scenes, I believe, in the Cantina in episode 4, which is pretty neat. He's got an interesting kind of olive green undershirt with a matching albino vest. But cool to have this head in a different color that is not Bosk's color. It's really neat in my opinion. All right, and for the final 4 minifigures, we have Garandan, or the Imperial Spy. And he looks pretty interesting. He's got kind of an Imperial officer outfit and a cape. Obviously, his face is going to be the unique piece. And this hood piece is actually a really good use of this with the no connection underneath the neck. It works out really well. This guy is constructed super strange. He doesn't actually have a real face. It's like an upside down beard part, but it works really well and he looks really cool. He's really striking in my opinion. I do like him quite a bit. Next up, we have Nadon. I actually had this guy who's one of my very first Star Wars action figures that I got. You see him, he's an Ithorian. You see him pretty, in a couple different scenes in the cantina as well. I like that he has printed toes in a really just shabby looking outfit with lots of detail. I like that detail goes straight down into the legs through the groin piece, looks really, really good. And then this is a reused top piece of the Ithorian Jedi that they did for the Yoda Chronicles some years back, which I also have. It works. Usually I'd be like, nay for the hood, but this guy actually does have a hood in this episode. So this guy was kind of a long time coming. They printed a Ithorian headpiece or molded it way before they actually had a canon character for it to go on, which I thought was really interesting. And then they have this guy, and his name is like Cabe or Kabe, and he's like this little bitty bat guy. You can see him in the cantina scene, like asking the bartender for another drink, and he's on short legs. He's got some orange and white, and his face printing is a little strange, but it's okay. I like the printing inside the bat ears, though. That looks really good. He is kind of like a bat alien, and he has no printing on the back of his head or anything. So that's pretty cool. And then finally, and I think this guy might be my favorite, he's Labria, and he's got a real name, but that's actually his in disguise name. It's his nickname that he goes by, and I really liked him. You see him pop up in the cantina scene, like straight up like, my camera won't focus, but I remember thinking, oh my gosh, it's the straight up devil. He's got a really interesting horn piece, headpiece combination molded, and I think it looks pretty good. This is his like iconic smile, but he also has a somber face, and then he has just a little bit of back printing. His outfit is relatively plain, but I think he is my favorite just because he just looks straight up like Satan. And I remember him really well from when I first saw the movie. It was because he just like pops up in front of the camera and like is grinning and his eyes are shifty and he just looks scary. So that's the final count to make the 21 minifigures. I think that LEGO did a really good job. They mentioned, we're kind of talking about how hard it was to pick figures for this set. And as I was building it, I'm like, oh no, they got all the good ones. And then I rewatched the set for, or this scene for posterity and was like, oh my gosh, they could have done about 10 million other Cantina patrons. Unfortunately, we will probably never see them, but it is cool to dream, and it would be nice if we got some updates and added maybe like a accessory pack of Cantina patrons to this. So anyways, there are the minifigures. Now, before we get into the big actual sections of this LEGO set, I did want to show you the kind of like side builds or accessory builds that you can do with this guy, which is really cool. There are quite a few, which really broke up the build, and it was really nice. First off, we have this dewback, and he's got a pretty cool saddle build, and then a movable mouth. He's a fantastic figure to get. I believe he originally came out in a version that was not as good in 2004, and then again in 2014, with only slight differences now made for the 2020 version. And you can only see it really in the eyes and the nose. Good changes, I think. It makes it a little bit more stylized. But super cool, huge molded creature. I really, really like that. And then he also does come with a spare bareback piece, basically, if you want to take the saddle off. And then you get the big kind of whip thing that the Stormtrooper can hold. Then we get this thing, which I never understood what it was. In the 2018 version, it came with clear pieces and it threw it off. It's a lot more accurate with the black, but they technically are supposed to be windows. This is the Ubrikian 9000 land speeder. I had no idea this was a land speeder. When I used to watch this movie, I thought that this pod was a big droid, and it's actually a speeder, and I think that's extremely weird. On the inside, you can drive it, and they kind of infer in the LEGO manual that this belongs to Greedo. Looking on Wikipedia, it does also seem like Greedo might own one of these, and they're actually really sought after. Their parts are like super valuable and stuff. So it's funny to think of this just zooming down the road, you know, Greedo going to go pick up his lady in this round thing. It's really funny, but it's actually a pretty cool build. But yeah, I was super surprised because I didn't have the 2018 version Cantina, so I actually didn't know it opened up inside. I thought it was a self-realizing droid. I didn't know it was a speeder of any kind, or a land speeder, as this one is called. But you get this build, which is cool, I guess. And then we get this speeder, and this speeder is so cool. You see it very briefly in the movie, but I think that it looks awesome. It's got like white, yellow, gray scheme. You can put a person up here on this top part and then a person inside the cockpit. You just remove this lid. This was the first thing that you built in the set, and it was really cool to start off with. This such a interesting looking ship. It's really great because now if you want to kind of inhabit your cantina, you can get that, and then also have Luke's land speeder. And it looks like there's just quite a few different movable, you know, ships and stuff that the area looks more populated. So I really like that. And it was a really nice, very quality build. I'm not sure why the camera makes this look so warped, but it is not warped. That's really weird that it's doing that. But anyways, yeah, super, super cool nonetheless, in my opinion. I really like this one. All right, so the main build of your cantina comes with two parts. Basically, you have the cantina side, and then over here we have the Jawa shop / house. which is a really nice add-on build. Good liberty taken by Lego, in my opinion, for that. So this dude is mega huge. There are some things that you can take off. Before we go into the details, I'll show you. So this dude can totally open up. I'll show you in just a moment. But you can take off several of these sections. You can take off the little bantha waterer here, the moisture evaporator. You can take off the plates for the roof. So now we have a much better look at the cantina with it closed up and all of the access you can see without having to open it up all the way. You do have a lot of ability to set up characters and put them in a display with this whole thing closed. And then you can take off several pieces, which comes into effect if you need to lay this dude out long ways to display it. It's got a lot of versatility. One thing I didn't like about Bespin Cloud City was the fact that it's a huge round circle and that does not fit in shelves well, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. This one you can actually shift in several different angles and do different things to get it to fit. So I really, really like that. And then here it is closed up with these roofing panels on and this kind of like roof cover. I actually really like this because it allows you to look into the cantina but gives kind of the illusion that there is a roof inside of this, or above this rather. It looks really good in my opinion. I like it actually quite a bit. So that is it all closed up. Now obviously this dude can come apart, which is going to be on this side. I always forget which side. So remove this top part because you don't need it when it's open. And then you have a more playable area. This is more when it's closed up. If you look on the insides, it's more for display, versus when you open it, it's more for play. And it is extremely hard, in my opinion, to open it without ripping something off. I never can remember what way it opens, but here you can kind of get everything going, and you can see the bar as the centerpiece. It does shift and move. If you need to display it totally at a right angle, you can. You can even open it up super extremely wide, which is great if you have a narrow shelf but you have a wide room. You can probably get this guy to fit everything in. So that's really, really neat. Again, this dude is so massive. If you've not got the other cantina scenes, you might not know what I mean, but the 2014 cantina scene was the biggest scene we got until the Master Builder series, and this is it right here. And that's the size comparison. And this dude also does fold up to about that size. So just for comparison's sake. All right, so I've given it just a little bit of a scene because, you know, why not? This is obviously where Obi-Wan has just cut off Panda Baba's arm. Luke fell over because he got pushed. And then you can see I have everybody kind of in the background here. Now, I did have to remove the tops to be able to fit them in. It's not something you can just kind of just get your hand in. For most adults, their hands are going to be pretty small in that regard. But it does give you a better view with everything opened up. So taking a closer look at all of the booths, I'll take these off for better lighting here. Greedo with Han, there's a mechanism behind here to actually make both chairs flip out and for them to fall out, which is cool. So when Han shoots Greedo, he can kind of fall out of his chair like that, even though he just really slumps. In the corner here, we have Chewbacca kind of just waiting. There's a small little substitute chair as well as a booth chair. Over here is where the cantina band plays. They just stand. Now these guys are really hard to get in. I kind of have to balance them in between because I can't quite reach under this barrier, which is a little bit annoying. Down in this back corner here, it's super dark, but if you lift the little lid, there is a bit of a stock room. Hopefully you can kind of see that. A stock room with this door that comes up and it sticks, and then I'll also show you. Hopefully you can see that in there inside the stock room. There's a tiny little placard of basically, I guess it's a poster saying no droids. Moving on, there are a lot of details to the bar here with its own self-sufficient like bar making contraptions, which are used in old IG unit heads, which I think are pretty cool. There's a couple of cups. In the background, you can see cash register drawers, some bottles. There's a box back there. There's also this little flip out door so that the bartender can go in and out. I think that's really cute. And then we have a couple other rooms as well, just removing the tops so you can kind of see in light. There's a Jawa over here. We have two of our patrons. You can tell there are a couple windows. And then these little things right back here that are a little bit hard to see are just little tiles. There's some decoration in this scene. Is just some color, I believe, to that scene. But I really like the window. The effect looks actually pretty dang neat. And you can see a cut back there as well. And then in this corner, there's actually a big booth. I imagine this booth to be where Obi-Wan and Luke and Chewbacca and Han sit to negotiate transport on the Millennium Falcon. There's also two small, like, overcrowding seatings on each side that you can see, which are pretty neat. Shifting over here, we have the front entrance where I have placed R2-D2 and C-3PO, and it's really, again, quite tight in this location. There are some details, though, which is this little light, and then 3 seats, which is accurate to the movie. And then if I can maneuver it correctly, there is that little weird thing that the light changes color on. You see it really good when they're waiting in the little entryway. So that is pretty cool as well. That's basically the entry. It's super crowded. It would be really hard to fit a figure down in there. You just don't really have enough access, which is kind of a complaint that I have. Looking on kind of the architecture of this, I like most of it, except for these like tall little things. They just continue to get knocked over by me, which is more my fault, but it gets a little bit messy over in this area for me. It's just not as clean. Also in this section is a little bit meh, but we'll go ahead and go to the exterior. I'm going to close this back up because it is easier to manipulate that way, and I'll show you all the exterior details. All right, front and center here we have, this is the entrance to the cantina. It is at an angle. There is a little sticker piece here, and this door raises all the way up. This is also a sticker piece. I've got my Stormtrooper here. I really like this section here as well, just good detailing. And you can see just the different sand textures and heights, I guess. These rings, I don't know if they serve a purpose. I guess you can tie up one of your animals to them. That might be what it is. Like an old saloon would have like a horse stall to tie your horses on, like a horse post. This is where the little Jawa shops connect. On this side, on the front here, is where the bantha goes, and you have a little bit of water and then a bone, and then it's just a really shallow pin for the bantha to go, but he does fit. You can put his little foot on that brick there, and that holds him in, and he actually looks pretty nice in there. It's a nice little area to contain him. And then we have on this end a moisture evaporator, and this is fine. Obviously, we see them a lot on Tatooine. It's totally detachable, which is really nice. And it actually has different details than its counterpart on the other side. So it just fits back in like that. And then going around, we see the hinge. But they do a good job of, they have you do this like little stud mechanism that kind of looks like some sort of greebling on the sides. And then you have an occasional short window. It's a relatively ugly building, not gonna lie. The Mos Eisley Cantina does not look beautiful, but I think they do a good job giving it some like little architecture, even from the outside, sorry, with it totally closed. And so this is the back of the cantina. Here is the back door. Again, it raises up, and then you go into the stock room there. This is a nice printed tile, a control panel there. We have a couple little more antennas, and then we have this little back section where I have put our Imperial Spy. Here are the contraptions to move the chairs that Han Solo and Greedo sit on. You just bump them off that way. It's really discreet. I like it a lot in that way. And then we have a couple of boxes and storage, and there's some various things within these little boxes and storage and stuff. Mostly just, you know, goggles and whatnot. I'll let the surprise linger. It's really nothing at all, but you do have this section, and it is totally removable. And then you have another moisture evaporator, which I prefer the detail on this one a little bit more. And then working our way to the other side, and we're back in the front. So that's kind of as best of a view as I can give you of the cantina itself. But let's go ahead and move on to the little Jawa shop, because I think it is a fantastic add-on. All right. So this little two-piece building can connect to the cantina if you want them stuck together, or if you want to put them in another section of your display, you totally can, and I think it works on its own. I really like that they added a couple of pieces to kind of give more of a world to Tatooine than just the cantina. It was something certainly unexpected, I believe, when this set came out, and we don't really see inside of a Jawa shop, but it's really cool. They sell lots of parts and stuff, and I guess some of the Jawas come to town and sell their junk. It makes sense. We have this little fabric, what's it called? What's this called? Yes, we have a fabric one of those. It's got a couple of tears in it. I really like that. These two pieces do come apart relatively easily. So this is what is considered the shop side. You have a little window there, so you can buy, sell, and trade. On the side, there's just a bunch of junk. I like the little method they use to hook on these like little accessories here. I love the Imperial box. And then on the other side, there's a door which opens, and you can see inside the shop, and then just another side as well. And then you can open this up to get more access to it, and it comes with a little dome as well to stick with the theme. And on the inside, we just have a couple of items like a broom and a gun, and then there's a chair and a cup, and a wrench, some binoculars for the Jawa to sell. So he's technically sitting up in there, and that's pretty neat. I do like that it folds. It can become compact, but you can open it up and play with it if you'd like. And then this is what the Lego manual considered the house portion of this. Another little control panel and a door with a sticker. Sorry, my sticker's slightly crooked. And then there's a couple of parts sitting up front. I do wish that this door actually had a closing door. It's a little bit of a shame to me. I love the detailing on the top. It looks really, really good. Just kind of that mess of junk and parts on the top. And then this one is a little bit modular in the way that it faces. And I think that that's pretty cool. You can see a little kitchen on the inside with some shovel and a tool. You can actually remove this top if you want better access. And then if you obviously want to get into the second section, you'll have to remove the top. It is a lot tighter, but there's a Kyber crystal and then a barrel. So yeah, pretty cool. There's not a huge amount of detail to these little extra builds, but I really love that they included them. Like, I just find that to be above and beyond on Lego's part. They could have probably done the cantina, charged a little less and gotten away with it, or maybe the same price, who knows. But I really like that they added these shops. I think that that just adds so much more life to this cantina in general, and I really like it. I think that, you know, personally, with the exception that it's a little bit hard to fit your fingers in, I love that it has a lot more display ability than Cloud City in terms of you can kind of maneuver it any way that fits your shelving needs. We've got, you know, not only a dewback, but we have the pod, and then another entire speeder, and then an entire Jawa shop section. Lots of removable pieces, huge internal display, and then 21 minifigures, and a ton of them at that are brand new. So I think overall this is a fantastic set. Totally worth picking up. It should be out for probably a year or two more to come. It did come out in 2020. And for the price, I find it worth it. I really enjoyed the build. It had some nice breakups between building like the ships and then working on the buildings. It was really fun. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And until next time, guys, I will see you later.